Again, I sat back and looked at it, thought, is this enough? Are we doing enough? I really felt like I was drowning and I was really having a hard time making sure everything was getting done. Hey there, welcome to Joyful Noise Learning. Hi, I'm Ashley, if we haven't met yet, and I'm a homeschool mom to 3 kiddos. I've been homeschooling for the last 8 years, and I was a former English teacher. I didn't do it very long, but I was a former English teacher, and I love talking about here on my channel. I love to talk about Charlotte Mason-inspired homeschool, affordable homeschooling curriculum ideas, and biblically based resources. So I'm so glad you're here. So guys, we have made it through our first term. I don't remember how many weeks it was, but we started school on August 9th, I believe, and we went through, we had a week break in between, and now we've already started our second term for us here. But this is my first term / quarter update. How are things going? If you want to know what I picked, you can watch this video here. It has the curriculum I picked for the whole school year for our family subjects. And in this video, I shared the changes that I made from last year into this year, kind of like my goals video. What do I want to work on? What do I expect to do better this year? That video too. So how is it going so far this year? I'm glad you asked. Let's talk about that. For curriculum this year, I decided to go with A Kind Kingdom by A Peaceful Press. And I've used her things before, and I love that they are Charlotte Mason based, Living Books based, and it's going pretty well so far. We went full out with school starting in August and going into September. You know, I made sure they did all their subjects, that we did The Kind Kingdom, and I was trying to check all the boxes and get everything done. But when our regular fall activities started up, like karate, our every other week co-op, and our piano lessons, when those started up, I really felt like I was drowning and I was really having a hard time making sure everything was getting done. And if we were trying to get everything done, I was just like drill sergeant mom, just go, 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 get it done. We got to finish this. And I didn't really like kind of what I had turned into. For the last few weeks, I gave myself permission to slow our pace and to not worry so much about ticking all the boxes. So how did I adapt? Well, first off, I decided to make our core subjects our main focus. And this might seem obvious to some of you, but it wasn't that obvious to me, but this is what I'm doing now. So the things like math and language arts, you know, spelling, reading, writing, grammar, and all those things. I make sure we do each of those every day, and that's our main focus. So for our read aloud and our Kind Kingdom activities, I try to do it every day, but I don't stress if it doesn't get done. And oftentimes we will skip it or we will move it to a different part of the day. As far as our Kind Kingdom stuff, we're really not doing everything, but I am making sure we do the history picture book or reading from the Our Island story, because I feel like we're learning a lot, or I say we, the kids and we're learning a lot from these books. And I make sure that we do that at least a couple times a week. And I noticed that sometimes we do our read aloud in the morning. That's ideal. Like if we're home all day and we have an ideal day, read aloud is done in the morning. But when we have a busy day with our lessons and our appointments and things, then I move it to either in the car and we listen to an audiobook version of it, or we do it just in the evening when the kids are getting ready for bed. So I don't stress to try to fit that in during the day anymore, because that was a lot of stress. I was getting really overwhelmed by that, and sometimes it just takes half an hour or an hour to do. And I really could use that hour sometimes to work on their core subjects in the morning. So with these changes, this is the best way we can get it all done, but I'm really not worrying or stressing over if we get it all in throughout the whole week. One of the things I mentioned in my changes video for like this year was getting up earlier and starting school earlier. And we started off really well with that. Well, it was kind of hard for the first couple weeks, and then we got into a groove. We were doing it earlier. And then fall hit and the sun started coming up later, and I started staying up later, and getting out of bed in the morning has just been really hard. We've kind of digressed with that, regressed. We've kind of regressed with that, and we're kind of back to about the same older time we used to be starting school. I'm not sure I love it. I just gave myself grace again for a couple weeks, you know, as we're adjusting to the changing of seasons. Again, like I said, I adapted our day and cut out some things and moved things around, and that helped a little bit. And try not to stress and be that crazy, mean mom that yells at her kids all the time because they're not doing all the right things, you know. My goal now is to work on that again and start slowly moving back to that little bit earlier start time. And that has to do with me going to bed earlier so I can get myself up before the kids. Okay, now that leads me to talk about curriculum. And as far as curriculum changes go, I haven't made any changes really. I tried really hard to do a lot of good research before we started this year, and I know my kids, and I've used several things over the years, and I know kind of what works and what doesn't. And so far, I haven't had to make big changes, and that was one of my goals, was to not change things up too early. So we're doing good. I'll be honest though, I am already planning for next year, so there's that. But so I have a plan for next year already, but I know I need to get through this year first, and we're not going to change anything in the meantime. All right, as far as a little more detailed for my 6th grader, she is doing a local writing class by a homeschool mom / former teacher who uses an IEW US history writing units, and that has been so great. I don't make her do much else for language arts. That basically covers her language arts because she has a book that she's assigned to read for that class. She writes a paper for that class every week. I do make my daughter do her Rod and Staff spelling lesson and a Fix-It grammar lesson like once a week. And that's it for her language arts. For math, she's still doing Saxon math. She's doing math, Saxon 6/7. And yes, I am loving this. She is doing really well with this. I'm so thankful I picked this level. I'm glad it fit. I was a little bit worried about it, either being too easy or too hard, but it's actually just right. It might be actually on the too easy side, is what I'm finding. But I know eventually, you know, as she goes, it's gonna get more difficult and she'll catch up to where she needs to be. And we've been using Nicole the math lady with that, and I love it. It's so great. It doesn't take her very long to do the lessons with Nicole the math lady, and then she does the practice problems on her own. What I did change though, I didn't start with the online grading part of Nicole the math lady. I thought she would just do it and then I would grade it. And then I found out that I had a really hard time fitting into my weekly schedule grading her assignments, and I figured, I'm gonna pay $17 for the entire year for her to have a math that she can do online and it gets graded. She works the problems on her paper from the book, and then she puts the answer into the program, and then it pops up and says if you got it right or wrong. I think she gets 5 or 6 tries, and then it pulls out your score at the end. The really cool thing about this, sorry, this isn't an ad for Nicole the math lady, by the way, but I do recommend it so far. If you want to know more about Nicole the math lady, just let me know. Maybe I can do another video on that. So let me know in the comments below. I do hope to bring back Life of Fred. We used to do that in our morning time, and I've pulled it off for several months. I do like it with all my kids, especially for my oldest. So I'm going to pull that back in soon here and start adding that back in. Alrighty, that brings me to my 4th grader. My 4th grader is doing so well. I'm so thankful we started doing the IEW structure and style. So I shared about that just recently in a video and how we use it and how it works. And again, he's doing a great job. If you want to learn more about that, you can go watch that video. His writing is going well. He's learning note taking. He's learning how to pay attention in a class and listen to a teacher. And I'm still having him use voice to text on the computer for him to do his assignments. So he doesn't write it handwritten. He takes his notes handwritten, and then when he writes his paper, he does voice to text on the computer. So since he struggles with the physical act of writing, and that's what I've done to help him with that. And in case you're wondering, he does get practice actual writing, like I said, with taking the notes with IEW. He also does his reading journal about once or twice a week. And we do copy work every day with A Kind Kingdom. We've been using that. For the rest of language arts for my 4th grader, he just has 2 readers, and one of them is a reader that I picked from the Sunlight Readers book list, and I've been picking from the 3rd grade or the 4th grade book list for him, or it's a book that he picks. Lately, he's been really liking the Green Ember Archer series, so he just finished the 1st book of that, and now he's starting to listen to or read the 2nd book of that. And that's a newer series. If you know Green Ember, it's a bigger, thicker book. It's not quite my son's reading level, so he's doing the newer series that's a little bit smaller, and it's a little bit easier to read, shorter chapters, and that's going really well. And yeah, I'm really proud of him because he's my kiddo who doesn't love language arts. You know, he really is a reluctant writer and a reluctant reader. He loves graphic novels, but I wanted to challenge him and not just do graphic novels all the time, because if it were up to him, that's what he would do all the time. So finally, I've been challenging him to make sure he reads at least one chapter book every month. His other reader is Christian Liberty Nature Reader, and he's on book 2 for that. He did book 1 last year, and now he's doing book 2, and he reads a few sections of that every day. I haven't been able to figure out how to fit All About Reading in, and that is something that we have done in the past, and my goal was to do it this year, and we haven't picked it up yet. It's been really hard to fit in. So I guess that's my goal again this next term, to try to fit that in at least once a week. So yeah, he's in level 3 of All About Reading, and yeah, we're gonna work on getting that in. All right, on to my second grader. And my second grader, oh my gosh, this kid loves school. I never have to beg him to do any work. I never have to tell him to check off his checklist. Often he'll ask me to do it. He's like, hey, mommy, I'm ready for math. Let's do it together. He'll tell me when it's time to do school. Or he just gets it done on his own. He'll pull his stuff out, sit at the table, and just get it done. It's really nice. So it's hard and very tempting because he does things so quickly to want to just give him more. But I know with his age, he's only 7, and he's a good reader. He's right on point with his math, everything. So if he gets it done early, then great. He just has more time to play. And I think especially at this age, that's great. That is plenty of time to work on his other things. You know, he wants to do piano or karate or play outside, you know, Legos. He's really into Legos. I've been watching the videos from my friend Rachel at 7 and All, where she talks about gifted students, and she's done several videos on this, and several of them are interviews with her mom, because Rachel was a gifted student. So it's been really encouraging to watch her videos and learn from her on how to work with a child who just loves school and works quickly and learns really quickly. So that's been really encouraging, and I've been trying to implement a lot of those tips that I've learned from her. So if you're interested in that, you should go check her out. And as far as math, he's still doing second grade Math with Confidence from Kate Snow. We are huge Math with Confidence fans in our house. He is breezing through that. He is doing 2 to 3 lessons a day. And again, I was thinking that might sound like the curriculum's too easy, but no, I think it's because he likes it. He keeps telling me math is his favorite. He likes it. And Kate made it where it wasn't so overwhelming, or the creator of the curriculum made it where it's not super overwhelming. And I think for a general second grader, it's really good pace. For him though, he just likes to go faster with it. So we play games with it, and it's just been wonderful. Okay, as far as language arts for my second grader, I shared in his curriculum picks video a lot more than I actually ended up doing. Does that make sense? So my eyes, you've probably done this before, where you're like, ooh, we're gonna do this, 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 and this. And then you get to like real homeschooling and it just doesn't work. It feels like a train wreck, or you're like, back up, hold up, try it again. So I ended up not using a cottage press. I really wanted to use the cottage press stuff, but I realized with our group subjects from A Kind Kingdom, he was already getting a lot of those things, and I didn't want to just do it again with him. So again, he's only second grade. I don't want to overwhelm him. So here's what we're actually doing. So for language arts, he has 2 readers as well. He has 1 reader that's from the Sunlight Readers book list, and I'm choosing from the 3rd grade reading level book list for him. He's just making his way through that. And then he has the Christian Liberty Nature Reader, and he's doing book 1, and he's just making his way through that. Then he has Explode the Code. He's on book 3 now, and he begged me to bring this back. He finished book 2 a while ago, and we took a break for a little bit. He's like, where's my Explode the Code, Mom? I need to do Explode the Code again. So he just got that in the mail a couple weeks ago, and he's just making his way through that. And again, I let him go at his pace. Sometimes he does 10 pages, sometimes he does 2 or 3. I let him do what he wants. Then he does handwriting from Zahner Blosser. He's still making his way through level 1 with that, but as soon as he's done with that, we'll go into level 2 whenever he's done with it. For the rest of LA for spelling, we decided to use All About Spelling. I hadn't used it before. I eyeballed it for several years, and I finally decided to jump in with it, and I think it's going really well. Publish. How many syllables are there?
Publish.
Okay.
2.
So clap it, spell 1 syllable at a time. So pub,
Done. Begin.
Good, now check it. Put your finger underneath. Push the syllables together. Pub. And then the second syllable is wish. Publish. And then we push the syllables together. So I do both of my boys together with this, my 4th grader and my 2nd grader, and they both do spelling together. And I think it's been working out well. I notice it might be a little bit lower for my 4th grader, but he does really struggle with spelling. So although he can do the dictation a bit quicker than my 2nd grader, I think it's good they're doing it together, and it just kills, 2 birds with 1 stone, and I get spelling done, said and done with both of them at the same time. Also, for reading and phonics, because my 2nd grader is such a strong reader, I've been struggling to fit in all about reading with him as well. As far as phonics goes, I've kind of pulled back on instruction for that because he's so good at it. Like, he's figured out reading a lot on his own. He's very intuitive with it. Sully. Okay. He's super intuitive with his reading, but I do think it's important for some direct instruction. So he's kind of getting some phonics info with his All About Spelling, and we're making our way through All About Reading level 2, and I'm trying to get that in at least once a week, and that's about all I can do for now. And he's not reading those readers anymore because he's kind of beyond that reading level, but I still think working on those phonics instruction is good for him. And additionally, I do read a book with him for us together. And I used to use the 5 in a row book list for that. And now, I don't know how I picked these books. I think it was from Ambleside Online, using their book list for year 1. So we're reading the Burgess Book of Birds for Children. And I just sit and read that with him while he plays with Legos or draws. And then we talk about the chapter and narrate afterwards. I also am reading Grammarland, which I found over the summer. And that's for his grammar. And it's been really cool. I sat back and looked at it, thought, is this enough? Are we doing enough? And I realized, yes, I'm doing enough. He's doing just fine. Hang in there. I've got 2 more things I want to share. I want to share about some of our group family studies and our electives, and then we'll wrap it up after that. Okay, so hang in there. Thanks for watching so far. As far as science goes, all my kids have a science class at their co-op class. And I am calling that enough for science because, again, with our full day taken from co-op every other Tuesday, and then our other activities that we do throughout our community, I am just struggling to get any science in at home. But we're always talking about science things. My kids are always asking questions. I shared about that in a video earlier if you want to know more about that, how we do science without a curriculum. And I want to talk about Spanish because I did make a change with this from what I did last year. We are using TalkBox Mom, and we just finished our first challenge. My kids are doing really well. My kids are doing really well, and they're learning some really good conversational Spanish. And I'm really sad because I really liked the Simple Spanish units, but I just can't figure out how to fit them in on a regular basis with our schedule. And what I think I want to do is maybe set aside 2 weeks where we don't do our regular Kind Kingdom unit study stuff, and we'll just do a Simple Spanish unit there because I can't figure out how to fit it in because I'm already doing so much, and there's only so much you can do. We've been having a lot of fun with our Spanish with TalkBox Mom, and they're learning phrases, and every once in a while I'll just start talking in Spanish with what I know is Spanish, and it's a lot of fun just hearing what they are picking up. So as far as the Simple Spanish, I do think it's a great resource, and I still highly recommend it. I have a video that I did on that. You can check out the link in the description for that as well if you're interested in that. It's a Charlotte Mason Morning Time Basket-based Spanish curriculum units. They're really, really cool. So yeah, for a while, for the last few weeks, I felt like I wasn't doing enough. And I felt like I wasn't checking all the boxes. And I felt like I had to check all the boxes, especially with the Kind Kingdom. But I finally realized that we're doing enough. We can get everything done with what we can throughout the day while we're at home. If I do want to add anything more and do more, I'm gonna have to cut out, like our co-op and our piano lessons and all that. So I'm not ready to do that just yet. So I think we've landed in a good place where we are doing okay and we're getting it done. And we're just able to finish what we have here on a regular basis. And my kids are really My kids really are getting a lot of subjects at co-op, so I'm definitely counting that as school. I'm trying not to see it as an extra thing and more of just as part of our school that we're doing. So I've relaxed with that a whole lot more, and I'm very thankful for that. And I don't need to try to squeeze in anymore at home, especially science and art, because those are a lot of things they get at co-op. So there you go. That was how our first term went for this school year. If you've got any questions about the curriculum that I mentioned, let me know in the comments. Let's chat about it. How is your first term going? And I hope it's going well. I really do. If you like any more of my videos, you can check the description below. Don't forget to like this video if it was encouraging to you. And just say hi in the comments if we haven't met yet. I would love to just say hi and chat with you. And I hope you guys go find his joy among the noise. And I'll see you next time.